Hi people, it's me Tristan, and today I bring you a battle report of the Ronin game between me and my good friend Mr.V. I know I've promised to do this for some time now, and finally we got around to do it. So let's go over our warbands. I'm fielding 100 points of Bandits. The leader of the group is Izao, and I've upgraded him with Naginata and the tough attribute, which makes him tougher against most of the things. And then I have two bandits. I call them the twins. They're just upgraded with medium armor. Then I've got the other two bandits on the right here, and I've upgraded them both with Yaris, which is a spear and gives them a boost in initiative when fighting with an enemies. And finally I've got the scum. I've got two peasants. They are just there to be a meat shield for my leader. So even though I'm superior in numbers, the fact that all of my miniatures are pretty low level, it'll be a struggle. I'm hoping to win by numbers, just overwhelm him. And this is Mr.V's Puntai, and his faction is the Koryu. It's basically another one of those martial art schools where they teach the sword technique. And the leader here is a sensei, Yoshi, probably one of the most powerful miniatures in the game. And he has been upgraded with intuition, and he's fast. And he also has the commander and kenjutsu attribute. He's really tough. The two others are both senpai, like one before the sensei, and they're all pretty tough. One of them has intuition, the other one has fast. They will be a really tough nut to crack, especially if they're all together. I will just have to hope for really good initiative rolls or a tactical mistake by Mr.V. But that usually doesn't happen. That's his 100 points. And let's continue on to the game. So we start off by rolling the weather, and we get rain. And we continue with the time of day, and we get a 6, which means it's dawn. So the next step is we roll for deployment, and Mr.V wins this situation, and he decides to deploy all of his 3 miniatures all bundled up together, because he already knows that if he goes solo with any of his miniatures, I will group up on him and it won't end prettily. And I decide to deploy on the left side of the board, grouping my dudes also together. But trying to keep the building between me and Mr.V just so it would leave my options open. As we're playing Skirmish, we both roll for minor objectives, and Mr.V gets 5. That means he has to kill more than 75% of my buntai. And I roll a 1, which means I have to capture one of his miniatures, and the game will last 9 turns. The priority goes to me, luckily, and I will be using the red dice in this game, and Mr.V will be using white. But in the first turn, we just move up. Mr.V moved up between the house and the river, getting a strong position. I moved my bandits up into a semicircle, trying to set up a trap for him. Let's see how that goes in turn 2. Turn 2, and Mr.V takes the priority. As we are not in assault range, we just move about. I sent one of these Yari bandits on a flanking mission behind the house, and the rest I moved up into this defensive position. I placed my peasants in the front, and one of them even into his assault range, so he will be assaulting a peasant. After that I can just swarm on him, so probably next turn we will see some combat. Turn 3 starts with me winning the priority, which is actually pretty important. As you can see, I'm gonna move up my peasant to guard back here to lure Mr.V more into my trap, and he moves one of his further dudes just up, trying to lure me in, but I still have this one Yari bandit back there to move. And then he is gonna make a charge. And that's why peasants are good, because you see that they are just these throwaway units that will just draw attention, and you can sacrifice them. And as you can see here, I'm gonna place another peasant, the second peasant, closer to his master. and that effectively lures him because he can't reach any other of my miniatures and he wants to kill my. And now once Mr. V has done all of his moves, that leaves me to move my other bandits freely. So now I send all of my bandits and my leader against this one of his senpai dudes and just swarm on him. So the movement ends like this. I don't have very high hopes for my peasants because they are truly not warriors. They are just there. They were forced to be there by my bandit leader, and this one flanking Yari bandit really didn't pay off, and now I'm regretting it a bit. But let's go on to combat. The first combat is senpai versus the peasant, and I get only one counter and I go for attack, because if I win the initiative I could get a one strike in. Unfortunately the senpai takes the initiative, and with his massive amount of attack counter, so the first attack he makes a boosted attack, the peasant gets a grievous wound, and the second attack by the senpai just chops the peasant in half. So first model down, let's hope that the second peasant has more luck. So the next combat is between the peasant and the Grandmaster Yoshi. My only hope is to win the initiative, but I do not, so Sensei just makes a boosted attack, and without an effort he decapitates the poor peasant. Now on to the main event, the big battle. We're throwing initiatives, and luckily one of my Yari bandits won the initiative and goes first. He takes 2 attacks on the miniature, and the first one misses horribly, but the second one does really well and I get a light wound on him. That helps out a lot. So next up, one of the twins attacks the senpai, misses badly. And then the other twin gets a pretty good result, but all of the Koryu are masters of the sword, so they get to reroll one of their dice. But still I get in another light wound, which turns it into a grievous wound. So this is the first time we've used Subdue attack, and we're using it at the end of the combat, though it should be used before combat, but still I succeed and the senpai is subdued. This is the end of turn 3. There are casualties all around. I've lost 2, and Mr. V has lost no one, but one of his senpai is subdued. So on turn 4, Mr. V ends up taking the priority, and I managed to pass my morale check. And we go into movement. Mr. V sends in his sensei against my leader, so there's a confrontation. But I won't deal with that. I will send in some more bandits. My leader isn't a proud warrior, he's a gang fighter. So Mr. V brings in the second senpai just to support. He saw one of his masters fall down, being subdued, so he's a bit afraid. I'm sending in the Yari bandit because he has a high initiative and he could get some hits on the sensei. And finally the Yari bandit that was outflanking runs up and will be in the combat next turn. So this turn we already know how Subdue works, so we're gonna do that before the combat. So the bandits tried to take down the sensei, but with the Kenjutsu ability for the sensei it's practically impossible to overcome him, so nothing happens. Luckily this turn I get really good initiative rolls, and one of the twins gets to go before his sensei, and I managed to get a light wound on the sensei, which is really good. Next up is my leader, and I'm hoping he can also do some damage. So my leader gets a go and actually rolls not that good because I get a 1 and a 5, but also the sensei doesn't get anything good as well, and he is wounded. I get another light wound on him, which turns into a grievous wound. Unfortunately the Yari bandit couldn't hit even the ground, so then came Mr. V's initiative turns, and he rolled really good, and with the ability to reroll any one of his dice, he's just started whipping wounds on me. First of all, one of the twins got 2 grievous wounds. Then the sensei just took him out. The sensei turned his head around, wounded grievously the Yari bandit, took a second hit on him, killing him outright, and also wounding one of the twin that was left. Now things are becoming serious. The bandits have lost a lot of men this turn. A thunderstorm has begun. Dark omens, dark omens. How shall this game end? So turn 5 and I have to take a morale check, which I pass, and I also pick priority, but it doesn't really matter because there's only that one Yari bandit to move, who moves into the combat, and they start the attack, and it got really hectic at that point, so we really didn't record the dice rolls. But the thing is that Senpai took out the outflanking Yari bandit, which was unfortunate. But in an epic duel of leaders, my leader took down his grievously wounded sensei, and thus the turn ended. The tables have turned. Now only one senpai stands defiant, whilst a wounded bandit and the leader are ready to take him on. But don't forget, one of the senpais is just subdued on the ground. If the other one frees him, he will be free. He will be included in the combat. We'll see what happens on the next turn. At this point, Mr.V had to take a morale check because I slaughtered his sensei, and he failed, and Koryu is now wavering. He takes the priority and passes the morale check to move his senpai, and straight against my leader. Of course, my wounded bandit loyally steps in front. We go to combat and we try to subdue each other. He tries to subdue my leader, but I only take a dummy wound, and we try to subdue him back, but also fail. But then he strikes me with his senpai. I have only one dice and I roll really rapidly, and he gets a reroll, and he just decapitates my leader, freeing his subdued senpai, and the last wounded bandit is not a problem for him. So the bandits lose and Mr.V wins. It was a great game and I really enjoyed it. It's always really cool to play with Mr.V. So thank all of you for watching, and we really hope that you enjoyed this as much as we did. Ronin is a great game. Try it out if you haven't. Keep it safe, and I will talk to you in the next one.